So we're going to talk about Bitclout. Remember Bitclout? Well, now we know who the founder was behind the platform. So he was known as Diamondhands. Now he's come out as Nader Al-Naji, and he's revealing some of the thinking behind the platform that had somewhat of a chaotic rollout. So I'm going to take us down a little bit of memory lane just to catch everyone up on Bitclout and what happened there. So you'll remember back at the beginning of the year, we learned about the platform that allowed users to invest in celebrity and influencer fame by buying tokens that increased in value as the creators gained popularity. So in the first month of its launch, the site traded over $225 million. And soon after the launch, several high-profile people issued cease and desists to the platform for using their image and profile without permission. So now Al-Naji wants us to know that behind Bitclout is a blockchain called DeSo, which stands for Decentralized Social. We'll get into that, but Naomi, I'm going to kick it down to you first because I believe that you actually had one of these accounts on Bitclout that were just created for influencers and celebrities without their permission. Is that true?
I did. I didn't claim it. That's not to say I was against Bitclout, but I didn't claim it because they had said that they were going to be open sourcing things. And until all that happened and we could verify what was going on, I didn't want to support something where there were some big question marks above it. But one thing I will say is when people are talking about like their image being used without their permission, these are all public images on social media that we put out there. So, I mean, it's not being taken without their permission. They're handing this off very publicly. And so the idea that an individual has the right to curtail how someone else monetizes their reputation or bets on their reputation, I don't think is a fair thing. Like an individual just doesn't have that right to stop other people betting on the behavior of third parties. And so I think it's kind of an interesting platform. I'm interested to see where it goes. And I'm even more interested now that they're talking about DeSo, short for decentralized social, as you said. So the idea that this may become a backbone for many different iterations of decentralized social media definitely seems to be the direction we're heading in. I mean, we've got Blue Sky from Twitter, where they're thinking of decentralizing the Twitter network. We've got all kinds of people experimenting in this area, and I think it's going to get more and more populated as increasing censorship happens on these social media platforms. So decentralized social is definitely the future. And if DeSo can kind of become that bedrock for where these platforms can be built, that's kind of interesting. The fact that they're optimizing for that use case is very interesting. Bitclout, they really did kind of the rollout. It was just so messy, and you have these class action lawsuits, and I can understand people can get very nervous when they see their profile somewhere and an account, especially in an industry where it's filled with scams and fake accounts. And you're like, you want to tell people, this is not me. I have nothing to do with this, right? But at the end of the day, that's not what they were doing. And you could actually have full access to your account if you verified that it was used. Just a very different model. But Will, I'll throw it off to you for your thoughts on all this.
Yeah, sorry for the quick break there. Babu, the dog, is trying to take over today's show a little bit. Bitclout rolled out probably the worst way possible for any cryptocurrency project I've seen in the last few years. They pissed off, I think, almost everybody except anyone who had money in the system already. Most people who had like 5,000 followers on Twitter had a Bitclout account made for them automatically, and then you couldn't control the keys for that account either. And then tokens were trading on your name, which brings into concerns about securities, right? If you have a security or there's a token trading in your name worth money and you didn't create it, and now we have the SEC stomping down on anything that moves or breathes like a token, like that brings into questions about your responsibility for a token with your name on it. So I'm not a huge fan of a lot of these decentralized social networks. A lot of them seem like money grabs to me, and I haven't seen anything that's been particularly useful yet. Doesn't mean innovation isn't a good thing. Not at all. Not saying that. But I don't like a lot of these projects to date, and Bitclout would be one of the ones that I've seen to date that I have not been impressed with. Amy, I'll throw it back to you though.
Yeah, I just want to push back on this isn't useful. I upload my content probably to about like 15 to 20 platforms. Some of those, I'll say about half of those are decentralized platforms, whether it's like memo.cash or read.cash or library or, there are just a bunch of them out there. I find them tremendously useful. And it also gives me as a content creator enormous peace of mind to know that I'm putting my content on a platform where I'm not just going to be rug pulled. These are decentralized systems. You don't have a Mark Zuckerberg there saying like, I'm going to control this and one day censor you and one day shut you down your account. You can't access your data. You don't have a YouTube centralized database saying, I'm just going to shut you down. You lose all your followers. So that peace of mind is tremendously useful, but also just building up a community in an area where you know that it is going to persist as long as the decentralized network itself persists, as long as people continue to run nodes and, verify this system, is tremendously useful. And what's more is I actually make a lot more money on the decentralized networks that I use than I do on YouTube. So as a content creator, that's what you want. You want to be able to have a sustainable living. You don't want to have to sell out to sponsorships or whatever, but having like community-driven support is hugely important. So I'm very interested to see if this can become a fire for lots more people coming into this space and exploring this. We know there are lots of projects on the horizon that are yet to eventuate, like Dan Larimer is working on something that's decentralized in the social space right now. But I wouldn't push it aside and say it's not useful, because I personally get a lot of use for it and know a lot of people who do. But Jen, I think I saw your hand go up.
Yeah, so the founder said that Bitclout was supposed to be a proof of concept for what DeSo could do. And I don't think I mentioned in the intro that they've raised $200 million from A16Z, Sequoia, Coinbase Ventures to build out these decentralized platforms that live on top of this blockchain. They say they've attracted over 100 developers so far, and he sees a future where there are 1 billion people who are interacting with these decentralized social apps. Naomi, I totally agree with you. I think that all of the pros you've just mentioned for creators are where we're heading, but you're someone who's crypto native. So I'm just curious, like, what do you think it's going to take to get all of these creators who are making a living off of Instagram and Facebook to a decentralized platform?
Well, I think that they need to be shut down. You need to experience this personally. Like the fact that, Library saw last year that users shot up to 20 million users over the course of the year from like nothing. It was tremendous to even see my own growth on my channel, which was like, I kind of have a few followers. So suddenly like, it's one of the biggest channels on there. Like I watched it in real time as people just started flocking to the platform. A lot of the people would send, total humble brag. But a lot of people would, write to me and say, this is a new platform. I'm checking it out. It's interesting to see this. I don't really know much about crypto. So that shows me that so many people are using, for example, Library that have no idea what crypto is and have no idea how to use it, probably don't even know that it's based on a cryptocurrency. All they're doing is moving to a place that they know is censorship resistant, where they can build up a community and get views. Like I often get more views on Library than I do on YouTube. So I think that's what's going to spark it. It just needs people need to be disillusioned with the existing system, basically.